Welcome back, folks, to Investor Diaries. Over the past year, a term that has been increasingly used is SPAC. A lot of very high profile investors getting involved in it, and we are going to use this time to discuss all about what is a SPAC.
So a SPAC, it stands for Special Purpose Acquisition Company. So it's a company with no commercial operations that is formed strictly to raise capital through an IPO, which is an initial public offering, for the purpose of acquiring an existing company. So they are also known as blank check companies. And to be fair, to give credit, SPAC has been around for decades, but in the recent years, they've been become more and more popular and attracting big name underwriters and investors and raising a ton of IPO money. SPACs essentially are companies with capital that acquire an existing company and then take them public.
So, we'll take an example of a hypothetical SPAC that could take place. We've all heard of the payments company Stripe. Now, today, Stripe is a private company, which means that it is not listed on any exchange. So, if people like you and me wanted to buy stocks of Stripe, we simply cannot because it does not exist. Now, there is a SPAC which goes to Stripe and they help Stripe become public. So, Stripe, as a result, will start trading on an exchange and the IPO will be helped by this SPAC company. Now, at the time of the IPO, the SPACs would have no business operation on their own or no stated targets in their prospectus or their description. Their only purpose is to find an acquisition target. Now, investors in SPAC can range from high profile private equity funds to the general public. And the most important point is from the day the SPAC is formed, they have got 2 years to find an acquisition target. So the time keeps on ticking away and they are always on the run to find a target on time.
So let's get into a little bit more about how SPACs work, right, in general. So, like Api mentioned, it is generally formed by investors or sponsors with typically expertise in a particular industry or business sector. Typically, while creating a SPAC, the investors will have one acquisition target in mind, but they don't identify the company in order to avoid extensive disclosures during the whole IPO process. And that's precisely the reason why it got this name of blank check companies, right? So, IPO investors or the retail investors that typically buy into or buy the shares of those SPACs, they buy more primarily based on the reputation of the investor who is running with the SPAC, right? And at the time of buying, they do not know which company it is going to take public. So there could be some speculation in the market. There could be some chatter that it could be, for example, it's a retail investor. The investor is XYZ. That person has reputation in the financial services sector. So the potential target could be, like Appy mentioned, Stripe. The money raised in SPACs in an IPO would be placed in a interest-bearing trust account. These funds cannot be disbursed except to complete that acquisition, or if the acquisition is not completed, then the money needs to be returned to the investors when the SPAC is liquidated. And after this, the merger or the acquisition is completed, the ticker symbol could change. The ticker symbol could remain the same, but ticker symbol usually changes to be more associated with the new company that the SPAC has acquired.
So, why do you think SPACs today have become so popular? Is it something which is a recent phenomena or something that's existed in the past?
Yeah, so like we mentioned, SPACs has been around for decades, and it's often existed as one of the last resort for smaller companies that would have had trouble going through the IPO process, trying to go find an investment bank. But they've recently become more prevalent because of the extreme volatility in the market, which is primarily caused by the pandemic in 2020 and also the sudden expansion in the retail investing space. So many companies postponed their IPO plans due to the pandemic and due to the volatility in the market that could probably spoil the stock's debut. But then others chose an alternate route to an IPO, which is merging with a SPAC that is already that is already listed in the market and invest that already has investors, right? A SPAC merger allows the company to go public and get a capital influx more quickly than they would have had if they had to go through a conventional IPO. And again, the SPAC process can be closed in a couple of months versus the whole grueling process that you typically have while registering an IPO with SEC, etc. Right? The whole conventional IPO process can take about 6 months. Also, in a SPAC merger, the target company is able to negotiate its own fixed valuation with the SPAC sponsors, right? And then it could get into a complex deal structuring as well, but they could pretty much negotiate what the company's valuation is before going to public, rather than going through the IPO route, pricing it at a particular price point, and then the market deciding that it's not worth that value immediately on the day of the IPO.
So let's take a recent example of a private company that was taken public through a SPAC. So the name of the company we are talking about is Clover Health. So Clover Health is essentially an insurtech, and it's got about 57,000 members as of today. Now, this insurtech chose to combine with Social Capital Hedosphere Holdings Corporation. So this is a SPAC which is backed by Chamath, and it was a 3.7 billion merger. And Clover Health started trading on January 8th. So Clover Health's merger with Social Capital Holdings delivered 1.2 billion in gross proceeds to this company. This included a $400 million public investment in private equity, which is also known as PIPE. Now, the question is, did Clover Health have an option? And the answer is yes, it could have stayed with a traditional IPO. However, if it had chosen to do so, it would have been subjected to all the rules and conditions 2 weeks prior to the offering. It would have also meant that the amount of capital that Clover Health would have raised would have depended heavily on the sentiment of the people, the economy, the market conditions at that point of time. And as an example, we can think about, say, Coinbase. So Coinbase went public a couple of months back, and when it went public, we could see that it started trading at 400 and now it's at around 200. In addition to the $400 million PIPE investment that we were talking about, Clover also received $828 million of cash held in the trust account of Social Capital Holdings Corp 3. Now, this money which was held in the trust account was what Nitish was talking about, that the SPAC cannot actually do anything with that money apart from using its interest in the working capital of the SPAC. Following all this, Clover Health actually merged with the SPAC, and today it has given great returns to the investors of the SPAC because it started trading at about $10, and today when we see it's crossed $20.
Yeah, so this is like a one good success or a SPAC success story for retail investors, right? But there are tons and tons of examples out there where investors have gone in, assuming that that the SPAC will blow out of the water, and then it has not done particularly that well, right? There are a couple of IPOs of a couple of SPACs of Chamath that also did not do well after it went public. Just recently, we heard about the famous investor Bill Ackman taking PSTH, which was his SPAC, and that had a merger with Universal Music, and it is a very complex deal. We'll probably talk about that in some of our upcoming videos.
Closing off, I think we've got our own views as far as SPAC investing is concerned, and I would say that one, it is highly speculative. So you should think carefully before investing in SPACs. And when you are doing your own research, I think a few things to consider would be definitely the profile of whoever the SPAC belongs to. And second is, you should not go all in. Think about allocating just a small percentage of your overall investment in SPACs.
So that was our introductory video on SPAC. Please let us know your feedback on this video, and let us know if you have any further information or details that you would like us to cover on SPACs. And until then, see you. Stay tuned and See you next time.
Thank you.